What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, last week I posted an episode about a guy who very sadly was disowned by his family 15 years ago. Now, if you haven't seen that yet, it's on screen right now, and I'll post a link down below in the pinned comment and in the description. But today, I've got an update to that story. It was a really good one. You guys seem to love it. And for those of you that haven't seen it yet, I would implore you to go and watch it before we get into this update. But I will give a brief summary just in case you've forgotten what happened. Okay, so as I said, this guy's family disowned him 15 years ago over a couple of traffic tickets. Seriously, they were that worried about how their son going to prison for just a couple of weeks would look and make them appear socially that they disowned him. They didn't just disown him, they went complete no contact with him as well for the next 15 years. However, all of a sudden, 15 years later, they want back in OP's life. They paid a personal investigator to find him and then proceeded to stalk him until he had no choice but to confront them and say, "What on earth are you doing? I don't want anything to do with you." They were saying to him, "Well, look, there's loads more family now that you've got to meet. You need to be reintegrated." He just said, "Well, you disowned me 15 years ago and wanted nothing to do with me. What is going on? I never want to see you again." However, at the end of that first post, we were left thinking, why? What is the reason as to why OP's parents have now suddenly come back into his life 15 years later? And I think this update, well, I hope anyway, might provide some answers. So without further ado, drop a like on this one if you're excited for a genuine update. This doesn't happen too often, but I happened to see it today on Reddit. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's see what happens next in this story. Many of you have been asking for an update. First and foremost, thank you all for your responses. I was overwhelmed. I read every single one. I just couldn't keep up to respond to them. I also worked some extra shifts and had some really nice overtime, which right now comes in handy. Please just know I wasn't ignoring you, I just couldn't keep up. This isn't the update that many of you were most likely hoping for. I haven't heard from my family since I confronted them. I'm hoping it's all done and over, but at the same time, I'm thinking they're trying something else. Now, I wanted to address some other things. Many are saying they are out for money or body parts, that they see I'm successful and such. But I can't see this being the case. I truly don't think it's money. If they were able to drop $5,000 for a PI, then I can't see them hurting financially. My dad worked as an ORD for his entire career and made good money. My mum worked for a global corporation as a historical document manager. I didn't ask, but I'm thinking that they might even still be working. Others said maybe they need body parts. Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought that was like a joke about stealing an arm, but no, you mean organs. Right, okay, sorry, my bad. I can't see this being the case either, because all of these would have been mentioned the first or the last time we talked. People have mentioned they see me as successful and want in on it and take the credit, saying that they're responsible for that in how they treated me. But I'm successful in my own way. My education is in healthcare management and I work as a unit secretary. I've been here for a while and I truly love my job. I'm at the top of my pay scale and that's okay. I've made a life for myself. Yeah, I do have some money stashed away. I live below my means to do what I've done. I'm single, no kids, so it's allowed me to save money. Anyway, on to the update now. This is a long update because it's part of a conversation I had with my cousin. I've not heard from any of them since the last meet where I confronted them. I'm hoping that they're just gone at this point. I truly don't want anything to do with any of them. I don't care that I have nieces or nephews or that I have a new brother and sister-in-laws. I would have to know my sister and brother and my parents to know all these new people, and frankly, all of them are strangers, and it just brings up a lot of bad emotions. My cousin Jean is the only person who I have anything to do with, and she's been my rock. I can't begin to thank her enough for all she's done. She's been on vacation for a few weeks, so she doesn't know much of what happened. She got back and came over the other night. She showed up with wine, pizza, and cheesecake. God, I love that woman. I opened the door, and I was greeted with, "The wise woman has arrived and has brought the makings of a great evening." I started crying and she responded, "However, it looks like I should have arrived a few days ago." She set everything on the counter and just hugged me to get me to calm down. Finally, as she opened the wine and fixed up dinner, I told her everything. At the end, she got a vindictive smile on her face and was like, "We need to talk. It's time for some family secrets to be told." First, she started with telling me that regardless of what others had said, What happened wasn't my fault. I was stuck in the perfect storm which just blew up. She told me she saw my folder that had all of the work I'd done to fix the problem, but it just didn't go quickly enough. She reminded me that I didn't kill anyone, I didn't deal drugs or anything like that. I was stuck in a situation that didn't get fixed fast enough. She went on to tell me that it was no surprise that when I did the name change, I chose the one I did. Come to find out, it was the last name I was born under, which was my grandmother's, my mother's mother, last maiden name. Jean said, "Don't let your parents fool you. They are not the pure pillars of community that they want you to believe they are. I've always known that their relationship wasn't the best. But when I was born, they were split up and my mum was trying to hide me from my dad. My grandparents didn't like him, so it was decided to give me my grandmother's family name." She was getting more and more annoyed as she spoke. So let's talk about names, since they're so hell-bent of how you shame the family name. Your mother was the one who was born under the influential names. Her mother's family, the name you took, pretty much owned 2 of the local towns in our county. Your grandfather's name owned a few businesses in a different town. Your father's family was never heard of. They were from a different state and moved here for work purposes. Your dad has been riding off of your mother's name and connections. Even to this day, your dad's family is pretty much a bunch of unknowns. On top of that, even if your grandparents were alive, they would have been completely behind you and wouldn't have bought into that whole bull trash of shaming the family name. The only time I ever saw her in a mood like this was when I was in college, and when she introduced herself to the class, she looked square at me and made it clear that she had no favourites. All of this has really made me look at my parents in a different way, and none of it's positive. It just reaffirms what I want even more, which is for them to just go away and never come back. To the small few of you saying this is fake, fan fiction and whatnot, go for it. Apparently all of you live in perfect worlds with perfect families, and you most likely say the same thing to every post you read. I couldn't give 2 dangs, a flying F or a rat's butt what you think. I just need to get this out. Okay, so there we go. A bit of a confusing update, to be honest. Maybe you guys have interpreted that story better than I have. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I think the overarching point is, though, that you did nothing wrong, OP, ever. You didn't pay a couple of tickets because you only got the tickets as your license was suspended due to your ID being stolen, which you didn't even know about, so you couldn't pay them, right? Maybe, yeah, the paperwork is a bit of an issue, but you said you weren't even there. It wasn't even in the state. So it wasn't anything you ever did. That's the main point. And then these guys just disowned you. Like, just, you know, I don't really understand exactly what's happened in that last update in terms of the family name, but doesn't it just make them sound even more stupid? I mean, I don't really agree with the fact of, like, your dad's name isn't anything anyway, so therefore him saying you've ruined the family name doesn't mean anything because it's his name. But it's just a very confusing situation nonetheless, and overall. But yeah, whatever's really going on here, thank goodness that you have Jean in your corner, and thank goodness that you've made the right decision in the end just to sack off your family completely. As you can probably tell, guys, I'm a little bit confused by that, but I wanted to bring you the update nonetheless. If you know more than me what's going on in the comments, enlighten me. Anyway, 2 more stories to come in this episode, brand new stories. Let's get into the first one, but you're going to want to stay tuned for the second as well, because in that, someone's mum thinks that they didn't deserve the money that they earned from working, and to give it to her instead. Let's get into the first one first, though. Mum still complains that we named my daughter after my mother-in-law 1.5 years later. My mother-in-law is deceased. My husband, the youngest of 5, was very close with his mother. Unfortunately, he's the only one whose children never got to meet her, as she passed away suddenly in his 20s before having kids. When I was pregnant with my daughter 2 years ago, he said he was excited, but sad that she'd never get to meet his mum. I suggested we name our daughter after my mother-in-law in some way. I liked my mother-in-law's middle name and suggested we incorporate it. We decided to use it as our daughter's middle name. Our friends, my husband's family, and my extended family all thought it was a sweet gesture, but my mother was furious. Every conversation, she would rant about how unfair it was, how I slighted her, how I was favouring my mother-in-law over her, even though I never met my mother-in-law. I hadn't learned to set healthy boundaries at that point, so I tried to offer a compromise. We were still in search of a first name, so we told her to send suggestions. She sent us a list, and the names were not good, like Priscilla and Blossom, and a bunch of names that flowed horribly with my husband's surname. If anyone out there is called Priscilla and Blossom, well, that's tough. It really is. Anyway, when I told her we wouldn't be using any of the suggestions, she lost it, saying we were disrespectful. My husband was making the baby all about him. We were ruining the experience of her first grandchild. She also said my husband had his pick twice because we were giving the baby my mother-in-law's middle name and my husband's last name. I was still in my doormat phase, so I sent her the list of first names we liked and encouraged her to pick one. She refused, saying that none of them were as good as her picks and none were good enough for her granddaughter. In the end, my husband and I chose a first name from our list along with my mother-in-law's middle name. After that, every single conversation with my mother circled back to my daughter's name. She said she was willing to compromise with us and sent us names similar to the one we chose, but, quote, prettier. Every time I shut her down, she'd pitch a fit that I was naming my daughter after one grandmother and not the other. I was hormonal and pregnant, and I told her it was ridiculous for her to be so jealous of a dead woman and that if she kept it up, she wouldn't be seeing my daughter. To this day, she still makes snide comments about it behind my back, according to my dad. We're low contact with my family now, and I've learned to set firm boundaries, which has brought a lot of peace. I thought of this story because we brought my daughter to my mother-in-law's grave recently. It still annoys me, but there's enough space where I can at least laugh about it now. Hopefully, you can laugh about it too. Okay, well, your mother's just a clown. Now, I feel like it's a bit of a shame that you're low contact with your entire family because your dad seemed alright with this, but your mum, just so dumb. I mean, being jealous of a dead person is like, it's a new low, isn't it? It's a new low. Like, your mum could have had a granddaughter with a name that she didn't like or was jealous of, but instead, she lost a daughter and that granddaughter, so well done to her. Really well done. Sensible decision making. I mean, I guess you could have said to her, I don't really know why you're so upset. When you die, I'll name our next child after you, if that makes you happy. It's like, you're still alive. My mother-in-law is dead. Yes, we've taken her middle name and given it to our daughter. Not her first name, by the way, her middle name. Yet, you're jealous of that, despite the fact that you are lucky enough to still be alive and she is dead. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, now moving on to our final story of this episode. Mum thinks I didn't deserve the money I earned and thinks I'm spoiled and stingy for wanting to keep it. Am I in the wrong here? For context, I work with my dad sometimes for his catering company. He had an event with a lot of people and needed extra help, so I came with him. I woke up at 6 a.m, I got there at 7 a.m, and I started preparing the food until people arrived outside at about 10 a.m. My job was to bring the food outside on carts and set it on the table. The event lasted until 1:30 p.m, and then we cleaned up and left at around 4:30. It was a lot, but honestly, it was nice to be able to help out and do something important. Later that day, my dad gave me a $100 bill for helping out. And, as expected, my mum freaked out and said I didn't deserve that much money, and she said to give it to her instead. This is basically how the conversation went. My mum, squinting. Where did you get that from? Well, Dad gave it to me for helping out at the catering event today. $100? That's way too much. You don't need that much money. I woke up at 6 a.m, worked non-stop from 7 to 4:30. That's 9 hours of work. Still, you're just a helper, not a full employee. You should give that to me so it's not wasted. What? No way. I earned it. Dad gave it to me. Yeah, but you live under my roof. That money should go back to the family. And I just helped feed like 500 people today. I think I can keep one bill without it being seen as a crime. My mum then just stares at me like I'm crazy. I just want to be able to have my own money and my own stuff. It just feels good to have something that I paid for. I've had so many times where she'll break my things or take my money because I didn't buy it myself. Now today, she's talking about it again, saying I've always been spoiled and that I'm just being stingy for not wanting to give money to her, my mother. Most of me feels like I should have the money, but now my dad has done a complete 180 and says that I should give the money back as well. What? So I don't know if I should just give it back so things don't escalate for no good reason, or if I should just keep the money that I worked for. Well, that is a crazy end to that story. I thought that was going down a pretty typical entitled parents route where this Karen mum was just dumb. But the fact that the dad's 180'd as well is terrible. $100 for 9.5 hours of work is actually pretty bad. Like, that's below minimum wage. Well, it is in the UK at least. I presume it is in America as well. Even for someone under the age of 18, I'm pretty sure that's very close to below the minimum wage you're allowed legally to give somebody. I guess it's not full-time employment though, so it's a little bit different. But whatever. It's not like a crazy amount of money, right? $100 for a full day's work is not a crazy amount of money at all. So the point being, you definitely deserve that money. Your mum's crazy. We all know this. Why is your dad gone 180? That's the embarrassing thing here. It must be because she is pressuring him into doing that, which is poor. Not just from her, but from him to like lie down and be trodden on and be like, oh, fine. I guess I'll have the money back then. He knows full well that you earn that money and that $100 is a very fair amount. If not enough. So that's crazy from him. Very, very poor. To be honest, halfway through this, I was thinking that maybe your parents were divorced or split up and that's why your mum was annoyed. But I actually think now they're probably still together and it's just the pressure from your mum to your dad that has made him become your mum's little bitch. It's gonna have to be censored, but your mum's female dog is probably more apt. But there we go. Shocking scenes there. And if I were you, I'd keep the money and tell your parents to both F off. Screw them. I think you deserve that money. Keep it. Let me know in the comments if you agree, but it's your money, 100%. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want more Entitled Parents content right away, check out this episode on screen. Over there, it's actually the previous episode from the first update in this story. If you still haven't watched it, go and check it out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, because in a few days' time, I'll be creating another Entitled Parents episode for you, which you're not going to want to miss. And that one is going to be about 3 hours of Entitled Parents content. Subscribe, turn notifications on, don't miss it, and I'll catch you then.